Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're gonna make a dress that is, the inspiration is part of the business casual outfit that we made before. In that same range they had a dress that I also really liked, so that we're gonna make in this video. I'll make it also of the same fabric, or I haven't got a fabric here now, but it's the same viscose jersey that I used for the skirt and the hoodie in the business casual outfit. And I have it in a dark blue, night blue I like to call it. It's a very nice warm blue, and it's a nice and stretchy fabric that is also rather thin, so it flows very nice when you wear it. And I like that fabric very much. It's a very sleek design. It's a rather classic dress, but because it's very plain, you can dress it up and you can dress it down. You can just wear it to the beach as a long dress, but you can also wear it to the office, and that is the nice thing of this dress. And that is what I like about clothes, that you can wear it on any occasion, depending on how you style it, what you put over it, under it, what kind of accessories you use. And this is a very beautiful dress for this this kind of things, this kind of outfits. So I will show you how we're gonna make it. It is very simple and nothing difficult. I again put tips in between how to sew with stretchy fabrics, as I always do in my videos when I work with jersey or with chiffon. I will put in written tips how to do it with your sewing machine, with your needle, whatever tricks you need to make it possible for you to work with those fabrics, because they are really not that difficult, but you have to know how to do it, how you put your sewing machine. And you might know I have now a very simple sewing machine, and it also does the trick very good when you do put your settings right. So I will put that in between again. So I show you what we're gonna make and how we're gonna make it. So this is the dress that was for the inspiration, and you see it is in the same style as our business casual outfit, especially the blouse. This dress has a very casual look, but still you can dress it up or dress it down because it has that really nice fit. We make the shoulders, you can choose if you want to make it with shoulder pads. I think this dress has that. I didn't do that in the blouse of the business casual outfit because that was too much on me. I will try if I can do it for the dress, because this has more length in fabric and maybe then it will look better on me. But you can also just make it as cap sleeves, so sleeves that go a little bit over the shoulder, and that also looks very nice, and then you don't have to use any shoulder pads or something. The blouse that we made in the business casual outfit had those pleats from the shoulders down. I'm not sure if the dress also has it. It looks like, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just go straight down. But if you liked it, you can use the pattern from the blouse to use that for this dress too. You can just switch it up like that, and then you can make the dress go just straight down. You can have it a little bit going in on the waist from your basic pattern. You can also use the darts if you want to, but I think I will just make it rather loose, rather wide, because we can cinch it in with that belt, with that stash, and that gives it a nice shape and still the width and flowiness to have some pleats in the front around the waist. And that will look very nice, I think, when you do it just straight on, and that makes the dress even easier to make like that. Also, of course, splits in the side seam. I will do it on both sides. I think this dress has it on both sides too. You can choose what you prefer. And for the rest, it's a very plain and simple dress, but I think because of that, it is very classy and looks very nice, however you like to wear it. So I don't even make a drawing because this is so straightforward. We use our basic pattern for top or dress, and I will link the video where you can make that pattern down below in the description box and here in the upper right corner. And what I did is I placed a little piece of paper here on the top, because I don't have to redraw this whole pattern, because this is all straightforward. I just want to change here the shoulder line, and I want to change the neckline. So I just put a piece of paper underneath it, and now I put it on top of it to show you this is my basic pattern. What I did is I elongated my shoulder seam around 2 centimeters further out. So it stops here and I make it stop now here. And what you do when you want to do that, measure on your shoulder exactly where your shoulder drops down, because when you make the curve too early, then your dress will bunch up because your shoulder doesn't go down already. If you go a bit further, it doesn't really matter, but the nicest is when you exactly where your shoulder drops, your dress drops, your shoulder seam drops. That's the nicest, and you can just easily measure it on yourself from your neckline or from the middle. That's even more accurate on what distance your shoulder drops down. And you see my basic pattern is already straight. I made this dotted line. That is what you probably will have, because most people have already their shoulders drop down around 1 to 2 centimeters. Mine are just straight, but I want to have this drop where my arm starts, let's say that, not where the shoulder drops, because that's the whole seam is dropped for most people, but where your shoulder goes into your arm. That's what this curve has. And then what I also did is, my basic pattern has this neck hole for the back, this for the front. I made it for the front quite a bit lower, that is this red line. And I also made it for the back a bit lower, but I don't know if you can see it. Maybe when I put my hand underneath it. This is my new back shoulder seam, so that is also quite a bit lower, because this was what my basic pattern is. So you can just measure on yourself where you want your necklines to be. It doesn't have to be like this, but I wanted for sure my front neckline quite a bit lower, because that gives a bit more air around your neck, and I like it for this dress more. So I did that, and I also did it in the back quite a bit. And what I also did is you see my shoulder seam starts here for my basic pattern. For my new pattern it starts here, so I took it about 1 centimeter more to the outside. And those are the only differences that I make to my pattern. I will make my side seam just go straight down, so that's why I just stopped here where my what the width was of my paper. I don't have to draw that out, because this is just a line straight down. You can just use the basic pattern side seam if you want to. You can also use your darts if you want to, but I won't. The only dart that might be needed will be this dart, especially when you are bigger busted. Sometimes you need this dart, because otherwise you will have a gaping here, and that doesn't look nice. And I always just make it like this, see how it goes when I try it on, if I need that dart here or not. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's mostly depending on the fabric that I use, and I think for this fabric I won't need it. But you can also always put that in later on, because you just use your basic pattern just the same as it is, and then you can add it or not. So that's what you need for your pattern. And to be clear, I always use the same basic pattern, so I don't have a pattern with negative ease for stretchy fabric, because in my opinion it's also, again, depending on what kind of fabric you have, the stretchiness can differ, the thickness of the stretchy fabric can differ. So what I always do for the negative ease is I cut the patterns for stretchy fabric without seam allowance on the parts that determine the width, so the side seams mostly, and usually that is exactly the right fit when I do it like that. When you have very stretchy or very thin fabric, you might need more, but you can always take it in later when you try it on and you see that it's still too wide. So you can just use the same basic pattern, but without the seam allowance in the width parts. Then I cut out my fabric, one front part on the fold, of course, one back part on the fold. I made my dress the length that I want. I made it pretty long. I think I made it 1 meter 20 centimeters. I'm not really sure, but just take the measurement that you like. And then what I did is I cut exactly the same, but then shorter as a lining, because then I have the whole upper part of my dress as a lining. And I like that very much, because this fabric, this viscose jersey, is very thin. Then you have some coverage. and it's nice that you don't see your underwear or something underneath when you line it quite a bit. So I have my lining 75 centimeters long. For me that is still just a bit below my butt, and that is a nice length for a lining. And for the rest it is exactly the same as your front and your back part. So I made one for the front and I made one for the back. And then I'm really using all the fabric that I have, because I had to take the rest of the pieces for my belt, for my stash, and I have to make it into 4 pieces because I really didn't have any more fabric left. So I have 4 pieces that I will sew together in one strip, and then double that up. Then you have a stash of around this, and this is just about with seam allowance just about 5 centimeters when it is finished. I didn't even measure the length because I didn't have any more, so I have to do it with this. So I'm afraid it will be a little bit short of fabric, so maybe I'll have to add another piece of fabric to have enough. I can measure it, how much it is. Nicest will be then you have just about 1.5 to 2 times your waist. Then you have quite a bit to nicely tie. This is 46 centimeter, I think each, yes. So it's 4 times 46 is 1/6. Okay, that's not too bad. That will be enough. I don't have a big bow, but I can certainly tie it, so it's not that bad of a length. So now we're gonna start assembling, and as always I will put in between some tips how to sew with stretchy fabric. I have the same tips always, but I put them in between the videos. Also when I sew with chiffon, mostly I have a jersey or chiffon, so you might know already those tips, but that makes it really easy to sew with these fabrics, because when you do it the right way, it really isn't more difficult than any just plain cotton or something. So watch those tips if you're not familiar with sewing stretchy fabrics. I put my front pattern on top of my back, and we're going to sew the shoulder seams, and I laid it like this so that you are more clear in navigating for the next step. So sew them down. I will sew them with my serger, but you can just normally use your sewing machine if you like to. And to prevent that your shoulder seams will stretch out, I always like to iron on just on the seam allowance some interfacing, so that it stays nicely in shape. What you also can do is sew in the seam, or together with your shoulder seam, this kind of tape that is a little bit elastic, so then your shoulder seam still stays a little bit elastic, but cannot really stretch out too much. You see it has a little bit of give, and you can just sew that on. When you make your shoulder seam, you just sew over that tape, and when you use your interfacing, you just sew over that interfacing. Now you open up your pieces. So this is my back, this is my front, and you lay your lining on top of that, so with the shoulder seams matching. And then you're going to pin this whole neck opening, and we're going to sew that down. And when you've done that, flip the seam allowance to the inside and understitch it, so that it will stay nicely put to the inside. We have the whole dress here, the back and the front, and the lining underneath. And now what you do is you put the lining further underneath, fold the other side to that side, and it's best to roll it a little bit up so that you can place the lining that you just folded under with the edge to the edge of the outer fabric. So you just line it up, and you have the other side here in between. And then you pin that down, and then you pin this whole armhole down. So from one side of the armhole to the other side of the armhole. You pin that down and you sew that together. Then you flip it back right side out. Now this side is nicely finished. You can now top stitch it, and when you have troubles flipping it back, don't worry, just keep flipping. I've done this many times, and also this time I just got lost of track and I didn't know where I was, but just keep flipping. Eventually you will get it right side out. It can't go wrong. So only sometimes then you just fold it the wrong side, and then it gets more mess, but you will always get it out like this, and then you can go further. So you can now top stitch here this, not top stitch, understitch this edge if you want to. And then we're going to do the same for this side. So flip the lining underneath, flip the shoulder part in between, and fold the lining over your outer fabric, and then again sew this whole armhole. Make sure that you don't attach here the underlaying roll of fabric when you sew that down. Just the same, pin that and sew that down. Now we're going to finish our side seams, and what you can do, you can flip your lining up and both the front and the back, and then sew that in one continuous line. But I like my lining to be connected to my side seam, because I have a very long lining, and then it won't ride up when you sit down or when you walk. Then it stays nicely put to your dress. So I will just put the 4 layers together, the back and the front lining and the 2 patterns, the back and the front, and just sew that down till the slit. So mark where you want your slit to be and close that up, and don't forget to hem or even finish your lining piece the way you want it. Just by a hem. I will use my serger to have a nicely finished edge here. Now we will hem the slits and the bottom of the dress. I will do that with a twin needle. That makes that you have a double stitching on the outside and a zigzag on the inside, so you don't have to finish the edges. but I will first put it underneath my serger that I have my edges nicely finished, and then use my twin nail, but you don't have to do it, but I just like the look of that more. So that's what we're gonna do, and then the dress is done. If you're afraid of ironing this kind of fabric in this color, because viscose jersey often wrinkles a lot, but you can iron it very easily on a low temperature, but sometimes you get, I don't know what it's called, when you iron darker colors, you get pressed through things. I don't know what to call it, but you can see the seam allowance on the outside, and mostly it is also lightened up, and that doesn't look nice. If you are afraid to get that, you can very easily press this with a steamer. I have a steamer that I not that often use, but for this kind of fabric in this darker color, it is very nice to have and to use, because then you don't get those press through images, I don't know what it's called, and you can really make it nicely pressed down. So that's a tip if you're afraid to use this kind of fabric in the darker colors. So I'm gonna hem the whole bottom of the dress with the slits. Also make sure you finish the top here of the slits very good. I will do that first by reinforcing it by a double stitching now, because I now have only my serging with attaching the fabrics, but I always give it an extra reinforcement at the slits so that they don't rip open when you wear your skirt or your dress. Gonna finish with the belt, and I hope you have just one strip. I have to attach all these four together so that I have one long strip, and then what you do is you fold it just double and sew that closed. And what is also nice to just not sew just straight to the end, but give it a curve, or at least an angle that you have nicely edge and ends of your belt. Then flip it right side out, and then you can top stitch it or just press it. With most fabric it's enough to press, and I think that looks more nice. But when it doesn't stay put, just give it a small top stitch, and then your belt is also finished. And you see what a really beautiful classic dress, very comfortable to wear because of the stretchiness. It's just nice and flowy. I could wrap my tie 2 times around my waist, and I still have quite a lot hanging down, so that looks very nice. I wasn't expecting that because this was really the last parts of my fabric, but I think this is just a gorgeous dress to have, because you can dress it up, dress it down. You can use it just as a beach dress, simple over your bikini, but you can also wear it to your work with a blazer or a top, a blouse or something on top of it. And this wears very, very nicely. And because it is lined, my lining ends here, so it's quite a bit lined. You don't have anything showing or something, so that is also very nice for a dress to have. The stash is nice and long in my case, and you make it of course as long as you want. That means that you can tie it, you can make a bow, whatever you like. You have very many options for a dress like this. And I'll show you when I put something over it how that looks. This is with the cardigan from the bellycore outfit, and you see it also looks very beautiful. I think I wouldn't wear then the belt because this already cinches in the waist, and this is a little bit too much for me, but it looks very nice, and I like that pink with dark blue together. It's a really nice outfit, I think, when you compare those two colors. And with this cardigan you also have a very good outfit. And then when you pair it with the blouse from the bellycore outfit, although this dress was from the casual business range, but you know, all the things that I make can combine together, because I like to make all kinds of combinations with my outfits, with my clothing, and that means that almost all my colors, almost all my pieces match together. And you see, this is also very good outfit, more dressed up than with the cardigan, more dressed up than with the dress alone, because now you have your arms covered, and I think it looks very good. And then you know my love for blazers. I have quite a lot of them. You see, you have a very good outfit for the office. Nicely sleek, not too much, not too bulky, nice dressed down, but also very classic. And I love this look also very much. You can also button it up if you like to. So very, very beautiful. So this was the dress combined with the casual business outfit, but you can only combine it with the blazer that I didn't make, but I did make before. But a very good dress to have for all kinds of occasions. Oh, and what I did, I tried again with shoulder pads, because I think it looks very nice, but just not on me. I tried it again, but it's just too much for my shoulders. I already have rather wide, broad shoulders, straight shoulders, and when I put shoulder pads in, it just looks like I am holding up my shoulders like that, and it just doesn't look good on me. But if you don't have those shoulders, please try to put shoulder pads in between the lining and the dress. Then you have a very nice silhouette. And for most people it looks really, really good, and I really love that look, because but my shoulders already are that much for my body that to me it is too much. So I tried it, but I didn't put them in. So I hope you like this video again. I hope you like the dress. Please leave me a comment if you have anything to say or to ask. I always like to read your questions, or if you have any suggestions for me what to make. I always have inspiration, but if you want me to make something, please let me know in the comment section, and I will try to do that. So I hope to see you again next time, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye!